Hi everyone, it's Daisy, and today our topic is going to be pumpkins. We'll be putting a pumpkin and a lantern side by side, and we'll be drawing it in all pastels and coloring it down using watercolors. It's a great idea to draw with the color that you plan to paint with. That way you eliminate the process of trying to go over pencil lines and everything. I think you like the way that this project moves. It's got a good pace and it's very vibrant. Hope you enjoy. Okay, so our project today is going to be watercolors. So remember, get your watercolors ready. You have the all pastels. We are going to draw with the all pastels, and then we'll do the watercolors for the painting part of it. So no pencils. This way you don't have any black lines on your paper, and it comes out pretty good, in my opinion. So here we go. I've kept my paper sideways. What I want to do, I'm going to my right side first. This is where I'm going to make a lantern. So you guys are going to work on a lantern that is in front of the pumpkin. So pumpkin is going to be drawn number 2. Yes. First, it's going to be your lantern. Yes. So for the lantern, you have a choice. You can either do it in black or brown. Pick a color from your all pastel box that's either black or brown. Okay. So, for example, I think I am going to start with the brown, and then when I'm happy with whatever lines I want, I will stick with it. So that's what I'm going to do. So I want you to write down here at the bottom of your paper, you're going to anchor this lantern right there. So first step, one line. Do not draw it to the edge of your paper. Just keep it as straight as you can. Leave a little bit on the corner here. Second step, what you're going to do is 2 small lines to the side and make one more line. So now you made it into a rectangle.
No, good. So how much are these dies?
You're going to take the bottom corners and you're going to stretch them diagonally out because you're going to make a base for your lantern.
So number 1 is the handle dies, no?
And a straight line
foils is very popular. We do a lot of
right here, and you're going to close it up.
We take all those 3 and adjustable stand. Is there anything else that we need to buy on the electrical side?
Now we go upward, and we're going to create the rest of our lamp on the top of it.
I know what a puck cutter is.
So, the first thing that you're going to do is from the top over here, your glass. Now, for your glass, pick up a blue. Take a blue. I want you to work with that first. So from here, remember, it's a glass jar. So we're going to add a little blue line. Don't make this line really, really thick. Try to keep it skinny. Try to work with the edge of your oil pastel so that it gets it.
I don't have a blue.
What color do you have? Do you have a gray?
My mother just gave me blue.
Great, but if any of you don't have a blue, you can also look for a gray. That would work as well. Now, next step. Put your finger right above in the middle. Look at me. Here's the middle of the bottom of my lantern. Going to slide myself up over here, right over here. And I'm going to go ahead and put a dot right there. So I need to know where is the top area, and it'll be centered. That's what I need to know from you. Find that for me. So again, find the middle. The way you do it is you put 2 fingers on either side and you slide together. Now this is my middle. Put your finger on it, slide yourself up, and put a dot right there. Next step, you're going to make a line go across, not very wide. So this is going to be very narrow because I'm making one of those glass lanterns. They only have a holder at the bottom, but on the top it's all glass, and you can just pick it up from the bottom and put it where you want to.
But she ships it directly to me. She's the one who.
So next step, you're going to take the corner of the line down here, and I need you to go directly up to meet the top one.
Both of them on the line. You'll hear from one of your distributors either before 5 p.m. or first thing in the morning. They'll be saying, "Hey, we have an order, and it's going to fail and Monarch." So we'll get it.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
That's what you want over there. Now, how about the holder where we're going to place our candle? So we haven't made that yet. We just made a base. Take your brown or your black again one more time. Find that middle point one more time. And I want you to go ahead and put 2 short lines on the inside on either side. We're going to create a holder where we're going to have our candle. This is the place where the candle will be held for us. Now you get to pick the color of your candle. I'm not going to tell you it has to only be one. If you like red, pick red. If you like green, pick green. Take a color for a candle that you think you would like to see in here. So in my situation, I need my lines to be a little bit brighter. So I am going to go for, purple. Of course purple, why not? So I'm going to make, look at me, I make one tall line and the other one shorter. Just a little bit, not too much. There's not that much of a difference, but I want you to create that.
Do you know the name of the company that our cables are from?
Scuds. Now, next thing, you're going to make a diagonal curve line here. I'm sure all of you have tried and made a candle at some point. So you know how when the wax starts to melt, it doesn't melt evenly. So one side is going to start getting pushed down a lot more than the other. Now, in here, pick up a black and give yourself a tiny little wick right there. In here. Okay, excellent. Now, we are going to create the color of our little light with the all pastels first, because we're working with watercolors. I have not given you acrylic, so I need to do this now. Starting point. Here, we're going to break this into a few steps. I'm going to expand now. Here you go. So this is our lantern. Step 1, you're going to get yourself a white. If the white in your box is dirty, like mine's is, you take your kitchen towel and just wipe it off. This is the oil pastel. It works real easy. On top of your wick, I know you won't be able to see it, you're going to make me an oval. That will be the center of your candle. Second, find yourself the lightest yellow, and you're going to apply that around that oval, like so. And then you're going to rub the white on it one more time to mix. I don't want you to use your hands. If you start using your hands, you're going to start getting real messy. And I don't want that to happen. So that's our candle. We've already put the color in. Remember, whenever you want to make something to be bright, like really bright, it always needs white first. No matter whether it's all pastels, acrylic paints, it doesn't matter. You need to do the white first. Then I'm going to go around it. And I'm going to lightly, with my orange, I'm going to go around it just a little bit. Add some yellow to it as well. Please watch the camera. Very gently, I'm just going to expand this very easily. And now my last one is going to be my white again. I will take care not to go over my black wick, because if I do that, it's going to just get all messed up. And this is my glowing candle. Right there. DSNK. Monarch, all small case. And now we're moving on to our pumpkin. So this is how you create like a glow effect. Very light. You can definitely add more color to it, and that is completely in your hand. But this is how you create just the focal light. We are going to do more to it, but later. Now, leave this alone. On this side, you're going to now start on your pumpkin. So the pumpkin is behind the lantern.
DSNK Monarch
2019. Start with a green color. Grab a green color. And you want it at the top where you're going to create your stem right here. So again, you're going to make the first line like this and curve it on the top. And then you're going to make a second line which has to curve from under it. So you don't want to skinny it up over here or here. You want to try to maintain your size really nicely. So that's one of the reasons we do it this wide. On the tip of it, you're going to touch top and bottom line and create a circle. Where, you know how they have to cut the pumpkin when they pick it up from the pumpkin patch, so they have to cut it from the stem, so that's what that is. Then you're going to create 2 more lines on the inside of that stem. You know, a pumpkin has a really, really thick stem. I've got a picture here. I can open that up for you so you can have a look at it. Look at that one. The bottom of it, each section will get a curve. So you're going to take the first 2 lines and make a curve at the bottom. Next 2 lines make a new curve. And the last one make another one. So you're not going to have a straight line. Instead, you're going to put curves in. Shift over to your orange to draw your pumpkin. Okay. Now, let's start with the outer body and then we'll come to the sections. So we want to know exactly how big we're making it. Go to not the corner, but a little bit higher and then create a diagonal line up. So notice I did not go to the corner down here. I went a tiny bit higher. And I'm going to do the same on the opposite side, right there. Next, turn it over. It is not coming down, it's just turned over. And make sure this is a nicer, smoother line. You can draw through the lantern because remember, the lantern is glass. So you see right through it. And which is why you want to make sure that you do see right through it.
If you could please give me a call back. I've got my number, but it's 832-646.
Now, look at this. I'm not going to be able to show you all the side, but I'm still going to draw it. Bring the line down all the way down here to where you see it. So this is my line, everyone.
I need that. So if you could please call me. And we'd like to place an order. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Right there. On the opposite side, I need you to create that. So don't make it straight. That's all I'm trying to get at. Stop when you get to the candle. Imagine the line going through. So in this case, I can't draw more than this much. So I'm going to stop my line right there. And now I'm coming to the center body of my pumpkin. Okay. So now go ahead and create a curve on the top, which is smaller. And coming directly under it here, that same curve needs to be bigger. So each section on your pumpkin goes from being small at the top to becoming bigger at the bottom. Like so. Next, the other section going to connect to the top here, make another small curve, but make sure you connect to the first one and do the same at the bottom. And you're going to connect. I know it's very easy to draw pumpkins. It's not a difficult thing at all, but some things that we do want to take care of as we draw. Same thing on the right side, my right side. Coming in, and let's draw this through like so. And I think we can fit one more in over here. So let's go ahead and create that one. And you can have it right there. And you can have it right here. So again, I've stopped it just before my candle because I don't really want it to go touching it. I'll take care of those things when I paint. Now, there are still one more thing that you need to do. See this part where you have that neck right there? I need you to add a little bit more pumpkin body on the back side by making a curve right there. And I need you to do the same on the opposite side. Now my pumpkin's drawn. And we can get into the painting portion of it. So I like to draw bigger whenever I do draw. I like to use my paper space. I mean, maybe you did and maybe you didn't, but these are choices. Second, my source of light is here now. That means all of my pumpkin on my right side should be brighter. That should go darker. So as we paint, these are the things that I am going to watch for, and I need you to keep up with me on that one. Go ahead and grab your watercolors. And remember the rule on this. So you can put away your oil pastels. You don't need them now. But with the watercolors, the rule is that you have to drop about 4 drops of water on each of the colors so that they can be activated. Because right now they're really dry, they won't work. So I grab my water and I'm going to just drop water into my sections that I want to activate. Now, I'm putting it in, I like putting it into some of my colors that traditionally will not be used in pumpkins, but because I never really know. I'm not really sure which way I want to go. So I like to just get my colors activated. I drop a few drops on all of them. And this way I won't then feel like, I should have done it, and I didn't.
Hey Kevin, one of your clients will buy stuff from you from one of your part, and we want a Peter Pugger VPN 20SS. Do you carry that?
Leave this for about 30 seconds for it to start getting a little bit softer. And I am going to grab my mixing palette.
Can you quote me the pricing so that I can, because I want to be sure that we're getting it. So I'll tell you the details. It's a VPN 20SS, and I need the adjustable stand with it, and a puck cutter. And then there are 3 small dies. I need the handle die, the coil die, and the
Okay.
color die.
So the first color that I'm going to ask you to do is going to be one of the lighter colors, or rather the darker ones. Let's take care of the bottom of our lantern. So I want you to do that. That way when we work on the pumpkin, it would have dried and we couldn't do something different after that. So go ahead and grit yourself a little bit of your brown. Put it into your mixing palette right there. And I would add a little bit of my black to this. I wouldn't just keep it brown because I want the color to go a little bit darker. So I'm going to scoop in some black, mix this in, and I get a more deeper kind of a color. You can have a look at that. And I can add water or not, and I'll just paint that down. This is the first layer, and so when we do the shadows under the pumpkin, we can still build more on top of this. This is not the only tone that we would have. We would add more to it.
0250, and I am in a position to organize.
Now, again, Now I'm taking a little bit of the purple that I have. If you have another dark color, the dark color could be purple, could be green, could be violet, but that would help you kind of create a darker look on this entire thing. So I like to put that in there so that I can pick up on the darkness, because it shouldn't be too bright. It should be one of the darker looking things. So yeah, I want to really work on that one. There you go. I like this. And then look, I want you to look up and see, I did not intentionally do all of it. I put it more to the one side, not the whole thing. And this helps. I like doing things like this. I do not like to put color into everything. And while we are here, whatever color you picked up for your candle, you can pick up a similar color from your palette. So since I did purple, I'm going to add the purple more at the bottom, less at the top, so that it becomes lighter on the top side, like so. The trick in watercolor is wherever you apply the color first, it will be the darkest over there. And that's just the rule of it. So if you want to have a different place to create a darkness when you're doing watercolors, you just have to intensify the color again. You have to just bring more color to it. Now this particular project is going to be mainly watercolors, so hang in tight. After we do this area, we're going to leave it alone so it settles, it dries, and we're going to go work on first the stem of our pumpkin. So we are far away from this guy, and then we can come back closer to it. I see some of you painting, so I'm going to hold out to make sure that all of you all are on the same page as me. Give you about a minute on that, and then we move to the pumpkin. Now, I like using more colors than just the normal colors, which means I just like to make it brighter, make it a pop. We did this project yesterday. I think Dante would recognize it. This is a pumpkin project that we ran yesterday, and look at the colors. They're really bright, they're really vibrant. So we're going to pick up on vibrant colors for this one also. So it becomes a fantastical kind of a picture and something that you enjoy, given that it's such a festive time of year. So there are a few things we're happy with nowadays. So, all right, moving on. Grab your green. I want you to, do you guys have a white in your palette? Do you have a yellow? How about green? Yes? How about blue? Good. So I think we're going to go for those colors. So that means, watch me. I'm going to put a little bit of blue on this part here. Clean my brush down really, really well. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit of my yellow. Have that guy in there. And clean this down. And then pick up a green that I want. And I'm putting the green in here. So how am I going to use this? Have a look. Look up at the computer. The yellow first. I'm going to apply it into this pumpkin stem everywhere. Nicely. Then I'll take my green, and from the bottom, and remember, it's darker on this side, not the front side. So we're going to add solid green to the top side here, but it needs to get to be a little bit lighter as it comes to the front. So clean the brush off, dry it on your paper towel, and then drag that green very gently into the yellow. So what will happen is it will be darker to the back, brighter to the front. That's how you control shadows. And then you can take a little bit of your blue and you can add just a tinge of color here so that it becomes more interesting. I do it more for interest because otherwise it feels like same old, same old. I'm going to leave it at this and we'll come back to add some more details on it with our shadow color, but that's all you're going to do on it right now. Now for the chopped up little area also, you can use a little bit of your brown, put a dot there. Remember we took the brown for our lantern and you can add like circular motion right there. So I'm going to expand this for you so that you can see it. All I did was I added a center dot, then I made a few circles around it with the brown so that I could get it to look a little bit more like a proper stem. Remember, these are things, especially in art, if you plan to ever do plants, you can't just not show this kind of stuff. It adds to the value of your picture if you can take care of it, honestly. Going back down. Oh my goodness. Okay. Now your yellow and orange, if you have it. If you don't have orange, grab your red also. So pick up, scoop up more yellow. Get yourself a good amount of it. You're going to put the yellow all over your pumpkin first. And then you'll do other stuff. So that's your lightest tone. Number one, so I've collected a lot of yellow on my palette first. Step 2, clean your brush. Don't have any paint on it. I can see a lot of you are still working, so I'm going to wait for a minute versus telling you next step. Thank you, Dante. Next step, I want you to take your brush with just water and I need you to douse the entire pumpkin with it. So you're going to just focus on wherever your pumpkin is and you're going to put water there. When you do this, what happens is that the watercolor that you plan to paint on top of this has a better way and a better movement to paint itself all over your picture. If you don't paint water on the surface of your paper, that will work also, but you'll just be working a lot harder. And that is one of the reasons why we paint those specific areas. It's important. Do not go out of your lines. Then take your yellow and just drop it in. It's as simple as that. Drop in the yellow. Now remember, we said where you have the candle, it has to be the brightest over there. So yeah, we start with that area first. And I've run out of my yellow, so I picked up some more and I'm painting it everywhere. So that's your first step. Now, pick up your next darkest. Do you guys have orange in your palette? If you don't, I'd like you to get more of the yellow and a tiny bit of red and mix yourself an orange because you're going to need it. So this is my next color. Let me see if I can... This will let you see the colors a little bit better. So you're going to do a few different layers of colors. This is your orange right there. And the highlight is going to be to the front where the brightness shines. So the orange can be seen from the top, cannot be seen on the front here. So you are going to apply it to the top sides and this much. So these lines in the middle are going to stay like crevices, darker. And you're going to start picking up on its value nice and steady. Remember, you want more darkness up here. You also want more of your intense colors up here.
Not bad.
So you're making sure you're leaving the bright areas bright. Don't cloud them with other stuff. And you are going to be picking up red next. Now, because you're constantly adding water and paint to your pumpkin is still very, very moist. And it has a lot of color in it. And the paint will still move even when you kind of put a little bit of more paint on it. So you do not have to, again, worry about adding water to things. Okay, so now I'm going to increase the size. And I want you to see what I'm going to do. It's connected, Mira. Abhi. So look at this. Take your brush, and this is important. Look at the camera. Do not do it like as a normal holding stance. You got to turn it vertical. And you are going to create like these dark lines coming down like so. If you hold it like this, you're going to get a wider line. And you won't be able to control where you want this thing to be darker. And it's really important, especially in art, that you get a really clean line. That's what makes or breaks most of the art pieces that you see out there. I think a lot of times when we say, hey, I really like that artwork, more often than not, it's about how we really like it because it's just so sharp and so clean. And we don't really realize that, but that's what it comes down to. So again, make your brush vertical and bring it downward. Now, wash your brush out and use the brush to kind of blend in some of that orange into the skin of your pumpkin, very lightly. So you want to kind of let it merge with what you already have in there. Remember, you drew with an all pastel, so you don't have to worry about things moving on top of like your lines and all. Your lantern is a glass lantern, hence you should be seeing your pumpkin behind it. It would not be right to not show your pumpkin behind it. You have to show it. Now, I would also like to bring some of the orange deep red from the bottom right here. Not too much, but yeah, I think we're going to need it here. So I'm going to fill those areas in. Lights and darks is essentially what we always have to work really hard on. So here you go. This is what we're doing so far. We still have our background to create, so we haven't done that yet. Now, I'm going to go in more aggressively on my other side, on all of this stuff. As you get to the sections of the pumpkin that are a little bit further back, you will end up with a lot less of bright areas. So you could really reduce that. So up until this section, you could maybe show some brightness, but on the last few, nothing. It's just going to be complete darkness.
Inches? 16. 16? Okay, the height. And the width. Right?
I still want to go darker on my left side on the pumpkin. So colors that I can pick up brown if I want to. Although I'm not too crazy about that idea. I'm thinking of going a little bit to the pink side, like the bright, whatever I can find in my palette box. So a violet maybe. So I'm going to put some violet on my palette, get that ready for me. And I definitely would like to put a little bit of brown, but not too much. I'm not too crazy about the brown because I wanted to stay brighter. I think that's one of my reasons to think about not going too much to brown. But if I do have a brown, I need to put it from the bottom here. So if you pick up on your brown, you need to add it here, guys. You do not have to worry about the top. You can, if blue happens to be one of your go-to colors, if you feel really good about blue, you can definitely use blue, but you can't stroke it in. So what that means is when you put an contrasting color like this, you just kind of put it down and leave it alone. Don't try to mix it too much because it's going to start blending with the color that's under it and you may or may not want it. So always clean your brush after you apply a little bit of it so that it's not carrying more paint for you. Like so. And I'm cleaning my brush again. Gonna take a little bit more of my pink. I apply one stroke and I clean my brush because it will pick up color that's under all the layers that we've kind of added on just now. And if I want it to stay bright, I need to be looking at cleaning that brush very frequently. Make sure that you squeeze the water out also, please, so that you can control it. Now, behind it, I'm going to add a little bit more of my dominant red. So these are the colors that you can bring in, and you should think of leaving a few streaks of the brightness of the orange. Don't get rid of everything. Like so. So it adds like a certain amount of interest to that side, in my opinion. And again, for the bottom part, I might just bring some of my purples down here to just add to the darkness. So now, we are to that point where we want to work on our black. So I need you guys to scoop up the black that you have, and it is going to be put very critically at the bottom to begin with. Then we'll turn our paper around and we're going to work on other areas. So I'm working with the exact same black stuff that we sent you guys so that I get the same results that you do. I don't try to work with different paint brands. If I've sent you Crayola, I also teach with Crayola, the palette. So I don't add water to it this time. I want to really see if I can get in here and I can really get nice and dark, close to my pumpkin. I really need that. So I'm going to add in, and I won't try to spread it too much either. I want it to be really nice and concentrated. First, I'm not going to try to pull this line into the pumpkin at all. I want it to really do its job in a dark way first for me. And then I'm also going to bring that darkness under my lantern. So remember, the area that connects the lantern to the table has to be dark. You cannot then say that that is going to be brighter because the lamp is lit. True, the lamp is lit. But by the time the lamp touches the table or the light goes there, you start to, you still have the shadow that kicks in right where the pumpkin connects to a table or the lantern connects to a table. So we made this. Now we're going to start taking our black and we're going to push it into the pumpkin. So remember, this side, my right side, don't add anything much. Maybe at the bottom, maybe at the top here, but not the main body. Leave it bright, okay? So now let's go. Pull this color up very gently and let it finish. Take the tip of your brush only and then blend it into the base just enough, like so. I'm not taking extra paint because the paper is still a little damp from the water and the painting. The paints will move just fine. You don't have to worry about it. Now the orange line that I drew at the bottom is giving me an issue because it keeps pushing its way up. So I'm going to take a black oil pastel and I'm just going to rub it over my orange line because I need it to be darker here. I don't need the orange line to show. It's not helping me. So this is another cool thing about oil pastels, that even if your paper is wet, it will work on top of it. Now, you don't have to add a lot of shadow just to make it look interesting. That's not the case. But you should control it. When you like something that you've done, I mean, that's a good time for you to stop working on it anymore. And I would still tell you that. So as we're working, and let's say that you suddenly feel like, I really like my picture right now, I don't think I want to do anything more, you can stop. Please feel free to stop. I'm bringing the shadows in on the top also, this side. And I'm adding in some of the darker black strokes over my orange here to just subdue the colors a little bit.
Check the address. I think if you put on your phone, you just go inside and say UPS access. It's easy. It is not United States.
Once you do this black color toning, It should be enough for you to then say that I can stop on my pumpkin, and we'll go to the top to finish our background on the top behind the pumpkin. So we are done with this part. Now we're going to go upward. So what is the color of the wall that's behind the pumpkin? This is a question you have to answer now. If it's white, then you're talking about dealing with blacks and grays. If you say that the wall behind it is, for example, pink, then you're talking about dark pink and light pink. So you have to decide as the artist, what do you want? So I'm going to make it to where I'm going to turn it upside down because I don't want to tamper with that area at all. And now I'm going to work on this part. So I'm going to say that my background is, I had a white wall behind the pumpkin. So in that case, I'm dealing with just the blacks and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some more of my black one more time. Going to mix it into the palette. And we're going to start off being very, very dark from the outer corner. Now, I also want to pick up a blue that I like. I'm going to pick this up just to kind of give me another color to add to the wall and not just keep it as black. So I want everyone eyes on the computer. Look at this. Starting from here, I'm going to just drop in a lot of gray tonals behind my pumpkin, right there. And remember, as you get around this little candle that you've got going on, the candle's radius is kind of like this. So hence, I can kind of think about putting a little bit of like a darker area around it here. Like so. And when your line starts to set, you want to take a brush with water and just smooth over the line and let it mix into your background real fast so that it feels very natural. It doesn't feel like an intentional line at all. So have a look at this picture now. This is too bright. This area needs more darkness, I know that. But I'm okay with what I've done with my lantern. Can you see that, guys? Now, I want you to see this. Look up, please. Can you see how this line suddenly dried on top of my lantern? This is something I don't like. So I'll take a brush with water, and I'm just going to stroke, 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 stroke. And this is going to start blending into the rest of the paper where I do not any longer have a solid line on top of my candle. And this is what I want. I want it to be without that line. It's really, really important. Now, again, going back to our pumpkin. Here you go. Now you know that we want some more darkness up here as well. The stem especially. It cannot be so bright. Got to do something about that first. And this corner here needs a bit more darkness. So I'm going to go ahead, take more of my black, add some blue to it this time to see if I can possibly get the color to look darker. And now look, when I added a little bit of the blue color to that black, look at how deep I went. I've got what we call a cool gray, because when you add blue to black, you create a cool gray. And it's giving me a nice deep color that I want. And when I get closer to my candle again, I get rid of all the paint on my brush, and I use water to blend, 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 blend. You have to blend this whole thing down to where it looks really, really natural. And that blending can be done with just a clean brush, just water on it, nothing else. Again, going to take some more black. My stem looks too bright. I can't have it looking so bright, so I'm going to put some darkness onto it like so. And now from this part, I want to make it a little bit more stronger to darkness right there. So there you go, and we've got this. Now I still have one more thing to show you. Now when we started this picture, I asked you to use a blue on top to make the glass for your lantern. You don't need that anymore now. So what I need you to do is, I want you to take your white oil pastel stick, please. Clean it off before you use it. And I want you to very carefully just redraw over this. And make those lines go lighter. When you put the white on top of the blue that's existing, it's going to make it go lighter. Look up, and look, I've got some blue on my little oil pastel thing to where I can use it. I can just put it onto my glass, kind of to show that we have blue there. See how I'm subduing the line? I'm not letting it be very aggressive at all. I don't want an aggressive blue line that's kind of sitting there and making it feel like it's kind of out of place. So I can push this over the whole thing. To make it lighter. Now, another thing I would ask you to do, because we're down to the last 5 minutes of this lesson, take a blue, look at the camera, and I'm going to zoom in for you a little bit. Look at this. So we're moving it, and I'm going to ask you to just kind of do very light strokes. Watch me, please. Just like this, because remember, the glass should be curved. Hence, you can get like these rotational kind of lines over here. And you can use your white on top of it to not let it be too dark. So sometimes when the light reflects off of your glass object, whether it's a wine glass or anything else, it tends to feel like it's showing us some lights. Then turn your direction. Go the opposite direction like so. So you've got a little bit of this, the blue that you had on the rim. You can have it kind of be coming down so that you feel like, yeah. You don't always see a clear see-through kind of a thing in glass. Sometimes you see these reflections of blue. And you can also add to these reflections a little bit of your purple, should you have any. You can, or this pink. Look at this, you might have this pink. So just a few strokes of this adds for a really nice kind of a soft feeling in the glass itself, like so. You don't want something harsh. You want lighter things, and that will look really, really good. And again, blend it out with your white. Every time you add a color, use your white over that color to help reduce it, soften it, and make it more gentle on the whole appearance. Here you go. This is what you've got now. A lantern. And this is really very basic. I hope this wasn't too daunting on anyone. It wasn't intended to be. One more place, I'm looking at my picture in the computer, and I would like to add a little bit of shadow over here. So I'm taking my black and I'm adding just a touch of shadow down here at the base. Right there. Like so. And I'm going to add shadows here to the bottom, just to darken the area, to give a contrast from top to bottom. So just like that. For the most part, the lantern should be bright. I agree with that. But you can get away with giving it a little bit of a contrast. And that, folks, is going to be the project for today's.